make life easier. And we're trying to get across the point that, you know, we're all energy based beings, you know, like we're all made up of energy, we interact with energy, we have auric fields, you know, everything. We're energetic beings, you know, and as energetic beings, we all have the ability to channel energy, you know, like we all are energy workers just by virtue of the fact that we're human, you know. We're energy workers, we work with energy, we read energy, we, you know, create energy, you know, like so that everyone actually has these skills, you know. And in the like reading that I had to do when I was first started doing Reiki, there was the example given of you know, like if a child trips and falls and hurts themselves, that immediate reaction is to put their hand on the thing that they've hurt, you know. So they'd be like, ah, oh, they touch their hand off the thing straight away. And that's kind of like, we know we have the healing capacity. We're going to it, like, oh, quick, get that better now. Do you know, like, you know that your touch, you know, we all have the ability to heal, you know, and that's what that reaction is. Or if a child falls and hurts themselves and you kiss it better, do you know, because you know that you're giving and receiving healing energy in that moment, you know. And it's a really subconscious instinctual thing. And you know, if you're interested in Reiki, that's great. But like, even if you're not interested in Reiki and you know, starting your Reiki journey, you can still work with energy, you know. You can still nurture those skills and like gain experience and practice. And it's like a muscle, it's like anything in life, the more you practice the better you are at it. So this is just like an everyday kind of energetic technique that I would use just to ground yourself, to feel protected, to feel like really comfortable when I'm in public spaces, or if I just feel in a bit of a funk at any stage throughout the course of the day. I do this, and I feel like when I open my eyes, I'm just kind of like, it's like a new day or something, you know, or it's like a new moment. I'm kind of starting from scratch, you know. It brings me very much into the present, where I'm not telling myself stories about what's going on in the past, or, you know, hypothesizing about the future. I'm just here, you know, and everything else is just quiet and it's just calm. And like, that's, I believe, you know, that's a birthright to feel like that, you know. And for me, like, energy healing and energy work has been such an important tool for me in like feeling more comfortable, you know, navigating life, you know, just feeling more confident, feeling like I know how to just have different tools to reach out to at different moments when I feel like I need it, and the natural ups and downs of life, you know. I don't really feel like I get blindsided all that often, you know, like I'm not. It just brings a lot more balance and harmony and peace into my life, and it enables me to work through any emotional turmoil, like, you know, rapidly, you know, where normally it could take days, you know, to like kind of get to the bottom of something and resolve something. Like, with these tools, nothing goes on that long really anymore, because I have some, you know, a place to go, I have a connection to source, and I have these, you know, habits and rituals, and, you know, this intuitive practice like that I can tap into when I feel like a bit lost or a bit overwhelmed, or a bit like any of them things that you can just feel like in your life, you know. So I'm actually gonna get a cushion. I'm gonna sit here now for a while and do this. I think my singing bowl is downstairs, so give me a moment. Okay, yeah, let's go. Right, so since you're here, you may as well just try it with me. Instead of just watching me do it, you may as well give it a go, because you'll just remember it more, and, you know, why not? You're here. So you can close your eyes or you can look, it's completely up to you. I just fell up the stairs. I need to catch my breath. Okay. all starts with the breath, so be really intentional and just focus on the inhale and feel your rib cage expand. And as our breath slows down and gets deeper, just move your body whatever way feels good. And roll out your arms, your shoulders, your neck. Just a bit of gentle movement. Get into our bodies. I'm going to ring this singing bowl and just really tune into the noise. Really listen to it and focus on it and don't think of anything else. Just let the noise move through you. And if you feel like you're holding on or you're tense at any moment, just try and relax that and release that tension. And just allow anything that's weighing you down to just leave the body on the exhale. Now practice the breathing first. Start with your hands in your lap, and when we inhale we're going to bring our arms up to the top. So go. Meet your hands at the middle and go. Bring them down when you exhale to your heart, and then we inhale again, we go. Bring our hands back down. We're really trying to get a stretch in the arms when we bring them up. It opens our rib cage, allows us to take a deeper breath. allows us to release any tension we built up in the shoulders throughout the course of the day. Just to bring that mind-body connection. Marrying the breath and the movement. And now on the next inhale, when your hands are up in the sky like this, I want you to lift your head up and visualize the brightest white light. Luminescent white light right where your hands are, and you're receiving this from the source, from the divine, from whoever you believe in, from the universe, the cosmos, God, you know, whatever. So you call upon that white radiant light. You visualize it in your hands. And then we put it down the center of our body. We pull that light down. And absorb it into our bodies. Using the breath to draw it down and ground it into the body. Whatever speed, however long it takes you to do this, to bring the light all the way down. That's okay. When you get to your feet or the bottom of your body, you can let go of it and just feel the lightness. The lightness in your body, just the presence, your awareness. Sometimes I feel like it's just on a really good yawn or a really good stretch. And I'm like, you know, it feels a bit yummy, like. But the intensity of the experience and the feeling and how much you feel it works, you know, varies day to day. And how often you practice it, so definitely the more you practice it, the more you cultivate that relationship and that ability to be present with your body and your breath, you know, the more you will feel it. So it definitely is a practice.
Like for me, and I think for everyone, like card reading, pulling cards is like a divination tool. So it's a tool in order to connect with the divine. And like, because we all are one part of the, you know, we all have divinity in us. We are all divine beings, you know, on a level, all of that stuff. Like, then your methods for like connecting with the divine, for connecting with that channel, with that energy, with that frequency, with that source, it's going to be unique to you. Do you know what I mean? So And I think like I've just watched hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of people talk about their practices and the specifics of how they do things, and then they do this and then they clap twice and then they do 3 fucking pirouettes and land on their head, like whatever it is, do you know? And then like I'd be like in these moments of me trying to connect with the divine, there'd be more energy, like mental energy, like focused on me trying to memorize like what all of these magical steps to this person's process was, instead of me just trying to connect with the divine and like allowing myself to be a channel and releasing any doubts around like what my intuition is telling me to do, la la la. So yeah, that's where we're at. So I'm reluctant to do one of those videos, but I think I might actually just see if I can get the camera set up just to give you an insight into how I do them. Not for you to copy and paste that yourself, but for you to maybe just get an insight as to like, how does this person deal with their tarot, you know? And like the cards and the like for me, like learning how to speak to the divine has been a huge learning curve, because it's not really like, you don't really talk to the divine in terms, or to spirit in the same terms that you talk to like humans in, do you know? And I remember the first time that I actually learned that was like, this is the thing as well, if you come to them with questions, this is what I've learned through my practice, but like if you come to them with questions where you're trying to like assign blame, or you're trying to find fault, if you're trying to confirm or validate your own negative thinking through tarot cards, I done it through a pendulum before, like a clear quartz pendulum. You basically cleanse it, clear it, and then you call upon whoever it is you want to connect with. And I wanted to connect with me Nana, and I was trying to like, I was going through all this stuff with my, like one of my parents, and my Nana is the mother of this parent, and I was literally going to her to be like, can you just, I was trying to understand why, right? I was still wrapped up in the why. Why does this person behave like this? Why are they like this? What is, you know, I needed answers. I wanted answers. I was seeking answers. Excuse me. And I called upon her, right? And then I was like, right, I need, like, was your relationship to this person like X? You know? I was trying to understand if like the wounds that were passed along to me were wounds that had been handed along to my parents, almost trying to maybe absolve them of some responsibility, trying to neutralize some of the hurt that I was feeling, trying to understand it in a bigger picture thing. I suppose I was trying to get to the point of like making it less personal to me, and I felt that the way to get there was by reaching out to this ancestor in spirit and to ask them, was your relationship with this person like that when they were my age or whatever? And they weren't giving me clear answers, like they weren't happy with the questions I was asking, and I got a bit spooked, and I was like, okay, grand, like sorry. And like I got a bit like kind of, I think I asked something along the lines of like, am I doing the best that I can do? And they answered no, and I was like, oh, okay. And it wasn't really, obviously it wasn't the answer I wanted, and it scared me a little bit, because I felt like they were a bit, I felt like the spirit was a bit angry at me, like me Nana like, and I was like, it just made me a bit afraid. And you grow up and you see all these things online, like, you know, on the, like on TV and TV shows, and you hear about Ouija boards and all these weird horror stories and all, and like, you know, you're scared that, oh, something like that might happen to me and all. So I kind of stepped, that was the last time I used a pendulum, and actually there's a knot in it, and I just won't use it while there's a knot in it, and I haven't been able to get it out. But anyway, what I learned from that, because I did have to sit with some fear that night, is that like they don't want you to come to them with these kind of like petty questions, you know. At least my ancestor and my guides don't want me to come to them with that. They just kind of, I think like ultimately I got to the same point I wanted to, which was making my experience less personal to me and assigning like responsibility for someone's actions to themselves and not to the person who's receiving the actions, you know. Like the person who initiates the action is responsible for the action, like, you know. if you're on the receiving end of it, you're not actually responsible for that action because you are not carrying it out. Like, but I was just trying to find blame, really, pass it up the fucking family tree, you know, like, and now my cards are very much centered on forward looking. I've done a lot of looking back, and I think now I'm ready to like look forwards, you know. I found a lot of peace where I didn't have any. I've understood that, like, I've come to a deeper understanding of the human condition. So I know that, like, you know, my like toxic, narcissistic parent, whatever you want to refer to them as, like, that's just descriptive. That's not how I like refer to them on the daily, you know, that's just for your sake, like. But, like, you know, this kind of person, like, I have an understanding now that I know they're suffering more than me. Because if the poison that is pouring out of her, if that's just what's seeping at the edges, if that's just what's pouring out into the external reality, I know there's far worse going on in our world, and we're only getting a tiny little taste of it.
Yeah.
Excuse me, they're just not too impressed with that, do you know what I mean? So that's kind of, I don't ask them kind of questions anymore. I ask them kind of more so, like, so yesterday I asked, what energy do I need? So it's always forward looking for me, like, so I was like, what energy do I need to embody in order to align with? And then I, you know, insert what I wanted to align with. So, like, I choose my highest joy, my highest expression, which kind of refers to my, like, myself as a creative channel, you know. So my highest expression, my highest joy is really, really important to me, like, and that's the thing as well, like, I'm very reluctant to, like, be like, oh, this is what you should say, and your, like, invocation is what it's called when you invoke a presence, or you invoke an energy and you set an intention, you cultivate an energetic space in order for them to come into you. And I think it's important that you feel quite, like, confident and comfortable and safe. Like, if you're dealing with, like, fears around connecting with the divine, like, that's okay because that's your conditioning, but I would definitely try and come to these things with a full heart, you know, like, you're coming from a place of fullness. Like, sometimes you can, you know, it just, to me, it hasn't been that helpful when I've been coming to my card deck in a chaotic space. It's always worked me well to, like, calm the energy a little bit, to take a few deep breaths, to anchor myself in the light. Like, we want messages of the light. We don't want, you know, messages that are going to send us off course, you know what I mean? We want things that are going to be attuning us with beautiful, like, frequencies, with beautiful truths, with insights that are going to, you know, really lead us moving forwards and stuff like that, you know, like. So I think it's really important for the question to be right, like. So I try, and sometimes you'll ask a question and then, like, a whole story or a whole narrative will come out. Like, for example, yesterday I called upon all of my guides and I asked them to give me an insight into what I needed to tap into in order to align with my highest good, my highest expression, my highest joy, my highest timeline. And what came true for me very much was, like, so the day before I asked the same question and I pulled a warrior card, and I really liked that because it's this idea of, like, taking what you've been given, as in taking what experiences you've been given in this human school and, like, actually using it to your benefit, like, letting it strengthen you, let it be an impetus for movement and growth and change, instead of it being this kind of, like, suffocating force, which I feel like sometimes hardships can make you just fucking roll into a little ball and just be like, where, you know. That's alright because I'm fucking human, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not a machine. I'm allowed to feel like that sometimes. You know, like, the divine is in that as well. I'm actually going to move these chairs just so you can see how the cards are going. But I got a beautiful insight yesterday that, like, you know, basically I'm this past cycle of hurt and this past cycle of like pain and like heartache, you know, and disappointment and loss and challenges and divine lessons, you know, if you want to look at it like that. I can feel in my body, in my spirit, in my knowing that I'm coming towards the end of a cycle, and it's good for me to understand what I'm supposed to be taking away from this cycle. And that's what I got from last night. I got the specific cards don't matter, because the same two people could pick up a card and they'd interpret it completely differently. To me, it's like, what is the card saying to me in this moment? You know what I mean? Like, there might be, say for tarot, there might be like specific meanings for the cards, and like I have a book over here that I will refer to keep myself off my phone. So this has the meanings for all the cards. It also just gives you more in-depth kind of spreads you can do and stuff, which I do when I'm in like a really in a pickle. I do really long spreads and really just try and get clarity on that. So it has loads of information in that. That's really good. If you're actually looking to get into tarot or anything like that, start at one of them. Because it also addresses like the social conditioning around like certain cards, like the devil and death, and how we actually shouldn't be afraid of these cards, because they're just these archetypal energies. They're like different like Sims, you know, they're like different Sims that are like our human selves will like kind of tap into them frequencies at different stages of our lives. Like the Fool is, you know, that archetypal energy is all about like taking a leap of faith and, you know, trusting in the unknown and believing in yourself and saying yes to adventure and all that stuff, you know. And like there will be many times in your life that you will embody the energy of the Fool, do you know what I mean? And I feel like divination tools are just all about trying to like nurture my relationship with source, with the divine, with my subconscious mind, because there are so many answers, like all the answers that you're looking for outside yourself you actually already have. That doesn't mean you're going to sit down with a deck of cards and get to the bottom of it in one night, like, you know, but these are like, this has been a really powerful tool for me to chip away at that and to understand certain things and to understand facets of myself, you know. So something I will often go to, I'll be like, oh, will you give me a higher perspective on this? If I'm going through something and I'm struggling to see the light in it, I'm like, what the fuck is the point of this? Like, I'm feeling, you know, my human self is really pissed off over it, whatever it is. You know, there's been situations the past few months where you know, people that I thought were going to be in my life for lifetimes, you know, not being in my life anymore, and me having to be like, that really crushes me, and me having to be like, how the fuck do I come back from this? Like, what, how do I make sense of this, you know what I mean? And it does always help you. It does always help you to get the high perspective. For me, it can kind of help me to acknowledge parts of myself that I may have been like suppressing a little bit or overlooking because of past relationships, or, you know, it can just give you that bit more of a balanced perspective. Sometimes you can ask for a more balanced perspective. Whatever it is specifically you're looking for, that's what you need to ask for. And I think that's what the real issue, the problem, not the challenge was for me for a long time, was like, I didn't know what I wanted, you know. Like, I've been with people before who've been like, oh, then just ask them the numbers of the lottery, and I'm like, that's not how this works. Like, maybe it does for some people, but like, I always used to try and explain this, because like, if you're coming to the divine, or you're coming to spirit, and you're like asking for this kind of like, it's almost like you're asking them to prove they exist, like, and that, you know, by you saying, you prove to me that you are all-knowing, prove to me you're all-knowing by showing me these lottery ticket numbers or whatever. Well, you're coming to them with an energy of suspicion. And I frankly, personally don't respond well when people come to me with suspicion. Now, I'm a human, like, I'm not the divine, I'm not in the spirit realm, you know, where like they don't have the, my understanding is they don't have like the dense energy, like emotional energies that we do, you know what I mean? Like this real shadow side of humans, like where I wouldn't take kindly to that, like, you know. That my impression of my guides is that they're very like straight talking. They laugh at me sometimes. If, you know, when I'm going through like real human struggles, and they'll like laugh and they'll be like, this is just a human thing. You fucking came here for this, stop being a whinge bag, like, you know, and I'd be like, right, fair enough, you know, and it kind of snaps me out, but like, it's kind of a no-nonsense, but very loving no-nonsense approach is what I get from them. So like, it would just feel disrespectful to go to them and ask that question. I just would never do that. Like, I think your heart's in the wrong place if you're trying to do that, but I don't know, perhaps someone has done it and it has worked sometime, but yeah, I just don't feel called to do that anyway. I don't come at me guides with suspicion. I come at them with gratitude, you know. I'm like, I'm so grateful for this connection. I'm so grateful for the wisdom that they imparted on me last night, that like this past cycle has actually really dampened my view of the world. And I need to work on my mindset more. You know, there's been consecutive kind of like knocks, which happens, and these knocks have resulted in me not feeling I'm overlooking how this too is part of the divine plan. Do you know? All of this heartache, I'm overlooking that, and I'm seeing it as some kind of accident, some kind of just messy bad luck, instead of just part of the duality of life, and like a very, very important lesson, and something that will actually strengthen me moving forward. Can I tell if it's raining? No. The rain shower has just stopped and the sun is back. Yay! The sun is back. The sun is shining. Where should I be focusing my creative energy during the next few weeks in Ireland? So, oh, wow. That was powerful. Okay. So I am just going to, I'm not going to second guess it. You don't think about it. Once the main challenge of being a channel for me has been to get myself out of the way, to get my human self out of the way. So when I am pulling cards, right? So I'm kind of getting a bit clouded that my question is a bit too vague now. So my question is, where should I focus my creative energy during the next few weeks in Ireland? So should for what? What am I looking for? Where should I focus my creative energy? To what end? So I need to pick something that I really want really to kind of be the outcome of my creative energy, or maybe they're like, this deck is asking me for clarity on what exactly I'm asking. Where should I focus my creative energy during the next few weeks in Ireland? I think for my highest good is like a good, yeah, for my highest good and to assist with aligning with my highest timeline. And I feel like sometimes when people kind of talk about timelines, it can sound a bit like, I'm saying conspiratorial as a descriptive term, not conspiratorial in terms of like me undermining anyone. I actually do, I feel like these cards are important, so I'll leave them out. We'll figure out what they're for. But when I say timelines, what I'm referring to, it's like my understanding of the world. My spiritual practice is prefaced on the understanding that like I am a soul first. I am a spiritual being first, and I'm having a human experience, and I came here in order to have this human experience. I think we're freed from our human bodies in our sleep, and that's why we explore different dimensions that don't make sense from our human perspective, but on a soul level do make sense, because it's a lot more infinite than the earthly realm, you know, the physical realm. But when I say timelines, what I mean is, right, so I had a fucking nervous breakdown there a few months ago, and I'm currently signed off on sick leave from my job that I was in for 5 years, and I would describe this timeline as a different one to that timeline. That timeline being the timeline where I was a full-time employee in that place, and I was running myself into the ground, and I was running myself towards this moment of burnout that I had. But there was a real degree of surrender. I was forced to surrender. Like most people, I have received the conditioning that like your mental health isn't as important as your physical health. It's not as serious. And that kind of like people who struggle with their mental health are less than, you know, they're not able, you know, it's kind of like there's something fundamentally flawed with them, you know. So then me coming to a point where I had to be like, I can't actually do this anymore, which wasn't a choice. Like I just genuinely was a nervous wreck. Like I couldn't, like I was shaking, I was crying, I was aching, and my body had maxed out on the stress. But it took a real degree of surrender in that moment to be like, I need to honour my body in this moment, I need to honour how I'm feeling, and I need to resist the urge to keep on pushing through. So there could be an alternative timeline. I feel like this like framework is more so to like enlighten one to the truth that like every choice you make has an impact. Every decision you make has an impact. Like the butterfly effect, there's butterflies in the back of these cards as I'm saying this. So yeah, the timeline thing for me is basically trying to just tap into the knowing that every choice you make has an impact. So in effect, try and be more mindful about the choices that you're making and understand the long-term impacts of like literally everything you do. Now that's obviously not to like send you off in a spiral of like feeling paralysed with this fear of like not knowing what the outcome of all your choices are going to be, and then that paralysing you and stopping you from making any choices. No, the point is just to bring a bit more awareness in. So, you know, there is a timeline where I was working, or where I say I completely internalised the like, there's loads of birds flying past where I could have succumbed to my societal conditioning and internalised my nervous breakdown as a flaw, a personal flaw and a personal failing, and I could have continued to prove my worth in a place where I wasn't being valued. And that alternate timeline is fucking worlds apart from the timeline that I'm living now, where my sense of self and how I feel about myself is more important than what colleagues think of me, because I was gaslit in my job, not pretty much, that's what fucking happened. I was gaslit, like I was made, the situations, the various factors that had led to this state of burnout were kind of denied when I flagged it, even though they had been acknowledged continuously throughout the past 5 years. But as soon as I said, this is really causing an issue for me and I'm suffering, like, and my nerves are gone and I'm not able for this and I need time away from this and I need something to change, all of a sudden there was no problem. And that fucking annoyed me. And that's where, like, anger and can be, like, divine, do you know what I mean? Because I feel like there's two timelines there. Like, I could have been gaslit by my job, by my colleagues, by the place where I worked, into believing that this nervous fucking breakdown that I was having was entirely my fault and a failure on my part, and the fact that no one else seemingly openly in the team were having the same kind of strong reaction as I was having would further validate that and would further cause me to internalize that. And I did feel the pull towards that, of course I did, but the ultimate timeline is where I'm like, no, I don't care if you're gonna deny everything that has led up to this point, because I know what is true and I'm going to advocate for myself in a very assertive way. I'm not going to take the blame for something that wasn't my fault. Like, I'm not here trying to, like, my energy wasn't like a fault attributing thing. My energy was very much, I'm just explaining to you what has led to this, and it shouldn't come as news. And then it was like, oh, this is news, and I was like, well, if it is news, it's because you weren't listening, so that's on you. Do you know, this isn't news to you. Don't make out like it's news to you, because I fucking outlined it for months and months and months on end, and highlighted it and flagged it and put it at the top of everyone's agenda, and been that person in the meeting who has been like, so what are we doing about this? And it forced me to embody this, like, stronger side of me. It forced me to work through some throat chakra blockages I had. It forced me to do what I knew was right for me, despite feeling like it was going to lead to this whole cohort, this whole community of colleagues that I've, like, worked with, like, do you know, like, on a full-time basis for the past 5 years, that this whole cohort of people, it felt like they had turned against me because I was very much going out on my own and very much going against the grain and very much throwing the fucking, like, the board of management under the bus, because I was like, yous have caused this situation for us and we're all suffering because of it. And I don't know how the rest of them are keeping it fucking together, but I certainly haven't. And, like, I'm not afraid to say that, you know what I mean? It really forced me to take myself seriously, you know what I mean? To be like, if I'm having this kind of reaction to a situation, it's not because I'm not able to handle the situation, it's because there's something fundamentally fucked about the situation. And actually believe myself enough to affirm that in a public setting, like in a professional setting, and also to resist the pressure that they consistently put me under to come back. When there was, like, no kind of plan for how, you know, when, like, if someone leaves on sick leave because of stress, like, before they come back, you have a whole plan for how they're meant to integrate back into the team and how we can, like, relieve some of the pressure from the trigger points and stuff like that. There was nothing like that done. Nothing. It was literally just like, oh, you're due to come back in this day, so we'll see you then, we'll chat about everything then. And I just was like, no, like, I can't get on a phone call and talk to my job or my trade union about everything that's been going on without bursting into tears. Like, I'm not signed off because I'm lazy. I'm not signed off because I don't want to fucking work. I'm not signed off because I thought to take the fucking easy train. No, I'm signed off because, like, I've been fucking systemically failed by an organisation for the past 5 fucking years. And for some reason, everyone else is alright to stay there as things are, and I just haven't. Like, so if you want to be a fucking martyr, go and do that, but don't expect me to do the same thing, because I'm not here to suffer. I'm here to pull me weight, I'm here to do my job, I'm here to do all of that, but I'm not here to be fucking, like, stressed, because you're not going to employ enough people on a team to do the fucking job you want done. That is not on me, but there is a timeline where I could have still been trying to prove my worth in that place, still been trying to force it to work, still trying internalising all the struggling I was feeling, but I didn't, and I'm here, and this is beautiful. And that's what I mean when I talk about timelines. It's like these pivotal moments in your life where you're like, am I going to continue doing what I'm doing, or am I going to change? And in them moments, you're choosing to change timelines. You're fundamentally changing your life. You're changing how you spend your time. You're changing, you know, everything all at the same time, do you know? So the timeline jumping thing is fun, and sometimes the hardest, most difficult, most bravest decisions are the changes that align us with timelines that are beyond our fucking what we thought was possible. Because like I said I wanted to do this exhibition. This whole exhibition was informed by my nervous breakdown in my job. Like, it's all about work. It's all about how soulless some work can be and how fucking tiresome it can be, and just work under capitalism, what that means and what that can do, how that can impact like a divine one, you know, like, and the divine aspect of all of us, you know. So even though it has been incredibly challenging, if I wasn't brought to that low and I didn't make that decision in that moment to change, to say, no, I've had enough, I need to come first. Like, I can't put myself under this stress anymore for what? The sake of what other people think of me. For what? Like, for some fleeting opinion that another person has of me. Like, I'm gonna what? Internalize all this fucking struggle for that. For that. I can't go to the shop and fucking buy me messages with someone's perception of me. No, I can't. Like, that is absolutely no fucking tangible value to me. But we assign so much value to it. Anyway, I wanted to do this exhibition, I wanted to do all this stuff, and I planned on doing it while working full time, and then actually doing it while not being in work, while being signed off, while having this as my primary focus. I realised there was no fucking way I would have been able to do that if I was working full time. So for me, the timeline jump of saying, no, I've had enough of my job, led me to a timeline where I done my first exhibition. And that is just so beautiful and so divine. And that's me opening my eyes to the divinity and everything, because I could understand that whole situation as like me being failed by my job, me being gaslit, victimized, however you want to refer to it as, but that's not what it was. It was this obstacle that I was given, and in me overcoming that obstacle and in me rewriting my own conditioning and carving out a path where I was prioritizing my own inner world, my own emotional balance, my own existence, has led me to this beautiful, beautiful timeline. And even though it was really hard and I'm still recovering from that, I can't go back to that job. Like, I feel nervous about going back to work, to any job, you know. I can't go back to that job I was in. I can't, it's too hostile. So I'm not going back there. But I know that when the time comes for me to get other jobs, it'll be something I'll have to overcome. But that's all right. That's okay. That's nothing that I can't overcome. Do you know what I mean?